Hi, I'm Jodine from Green Thyme. Today I'm going to show you some simple pottery decorations. I'm also a potter and have a pottery studio. I know you guys probably don't have access to kilns or pottery or clay, but you can go onto the internet and look at Google and Pinterest and all the other things, and they've got some great recipes for homemade clay. I particularly like the one that's corn flour and PVA glue. It dries to a lovely white crisp colour and it's very strong and hardy. If you've got children and you want to think about child friendly ones, you've got things like the salt dough, which is just salt, flour and water. And then what you do is make whatever you're going to make, pop it into the oven or somewhere where it can dry, paint it, varnish it, and you've got some salt dough decorations. So there's lots out there, you just have to have a look. And of course now the shops are opening, you might be able to go and buy some air drying clay or order something from Amazon. Okay, so one of the reasons why we're doing this, why I'm showing you pottery decorations, is that we run pottery workshops when we're open down on Green Thyme. So please feel free to come along sometime and join us when we're open. That would be great. So what are we going to make? We're going to make some little tags. So these are some little tags that I like to make, and you can give them to family, friends, thank you gifts, Christmas tree decorations, birthday. You can make plaques and all sorts. So let's get on with the demonstration. Right, things that you will need: your clay. And I'll show you how to prepare that in a little bit. You will need some cutters. Okay, if you're a baker or anything like that, I'm sure you've got some of these lying around. You can always use templates. So if you've got a template and a knife, just cut around. Make sure, obviously, if you're using things like this for children, safety. A rolling pin to roll out the clay. To smooth the clay. This is a proper potter's kidney to smooth. This is a cake icing smoother, but you could always use an old credit card if you wanted to, and it just helps smooth out the clay. To put imprints on the clay. Now I use this roller graph and other things, but if you haven't got anything like that, you can use, this is a cappuccino shaker that I've had ages ago, and that's rather nice, rolling it out. Look in, if you're a crafter, and I'm sure even in children's boxes, stampers. These are rubber ones, and this is what I use for my letters, but I'm sure you can find lots of things that you can stamp and imprint. Toys, children's stamps are very good. I've gone out into the garden and got actually some flowers, which is really nice. Even a lovely dandelion, hopefully you might get the seeds. And then this piece, which is just a bit of lace that I've got, but doilies make a really nice imprint. But something like that. Okay, so let's start preparing. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is prepare the clay. And what I'm doing is wedging. I'm wedging the clay. I'm basically kneading the clay and forcing the clay together to get out all the air bubbles. This is especially important if the clay is going to go into a kiln, because it fires to a high temperature. What can happen is, if it's got air bubbles in it, the air bubbles can create steam, and as the heat is going and the the air bubble might collect some of the water and the moisture, it can explode in the kiln. Also, it's not very nice when you're rolling things out if it's lumpy. So that is my wedge clay. Now what I tend to do a lot, but you don't need to, obviously I'm working on a board here, but what I tend to do a lot is work on fabric. I actually like the texture on the reverse side of my items. So if you can see, I'll just move that away. Oops, can you see? It gives it that lovely little imprint there. So I really like that. And you might ask where the X is from. It's from one of these. This is my stamper of my mark. Okay. So, right, so I have my fabric, got my clay. Hopefully it's wedged, all air bubbles out, and I'm going to roll. So, oops. Turn that over. And roll. Things at this point, if you've got any small children, make handprints. That'd be nice little present. And then just put it aside and set. Okay. So, there's my piece of clay. Then I'm just quickly rolling it out. I want to get it to about, I like mine, a couple of mil, yeah, to do mine. And then I do put another piece of fabric on top, just while I smooth it out. I will use my wooden kidney, but remember you can use a credit card at this point, or cake slicer works just as, not a cake slicer, anything flat works just as well. I'm going to turn it over. Put it out. I'm just basically making sure it's nice and flat and compressing it. Don't want it warping, because I'm going to put mine in the kiln, warping in the kiln or anything like that, or as it's drying. So I'm just trying to compress it. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. And then this is why I like the fabric, because you just peel it away and it doesn't stick to it. Whereas sometimes when you do it using a board, it can get quite sticky. And again, just lifting it up off the fabric. And if you can see, don't know whether, gives me that lovely imprint of the fabric. Okay, so a nice simple one is just a heart. Get your heart, so cut it. Now I've got these are like just metal little holes for my little hanging, but what you can use if you haven't is a straw or something like that. Okay, pop a hole, nice and gently it should fall out, and we have our first heart. And I've got another board to pop it on, so I'm going to lay it upside down like so, and then make sure I've got it right, put my little X in, and that's as easy as it is. Then you can experiment with all different things. So I do like this lace pattern. So let's do a lace pattern. Again, just pop it on your fabric. I think that's quite nice. I've dropped my So just pop it on. A gentle roll to make that imprint. And at this point you can add names to it, textures. So let's see if I've got love somewhere. Right, so these are some of the items that I've made. Obviously you can see what I've used. These are just flowers rolled in again and then used a cutter. And I use mine as tags, and that's why I've got holes in, but you don't have to. You make them as big as you like or whatever. Just go away and have fun. But before you do, make sure you see what clay you've got. If you're using them with children, make sure it's safe for children. Also, how do you keep it? This is proper white clay that needs to go into a kiln to fire. But if you're using just air drying clay, can you just put varnish on it to glaze it and seal it in? Same with earlier on that I said about the salt dough. Just have a look on the internet, Pinterest, lots of places out there. Okay, and I shall show you some of the examples when they're finished. These have been glazed and fired in the kiln. If you want to add some colour, why not try putting acrylics on the salt dough or poster paints? Just give it a go, look on Pinterest. Why not do a rainbow? I hope you've enjoyed that bit of pottery, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.